What is a Panhard bar, and why do you need one of these on your car? Let's find out. What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, I want to talk about the Panhard bar and why this is still my favorite update or mod or upgrade to my classic Mustang. If you have a live axle setup like I have here on my Mustang, it doesn't have to be Mustang, any car with an axle like this, a rear axle, there's a good chance that you don't have a Panhard bar or a 4-link setup or even a Watts link. They all do roughly the same thing. The whole purpose of these bars are just designed to keep the axle centered underneath the car. In this particular case, I have a Panhard bar. Part of the reason why I have this is because it's a simpler setup to install than a Watts link, but it does the same thing. You could argue the advantages of the Panhard bar over the Watts link, and even there are advantages for the 4-link, but in this case I have a Panhard bar, so let's talk about that. What we've got here is a setup that is welded to the car. This bar right here is welded to the car in this corner, and then it's connected to a bar right here that's also welded to the car. And what this is doing, and this is providing a place for this bar to be attached so it won't move, and that's what the purpose of this is right here, this bar. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but it's going up here behind the gas tank. And this bar right here is attached to this bracket, this beam that's welded to the frame of the car, and the other end is attached to a bracket on the spring perch mount here that keeps this thing from moving, the axle from moving side to side. And because it's got these heim joints or rod ends on it, it allows it to pivot, and it allows the axle to go up and down as you go over bumps and stuff like that. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't allow the axle to shift side to side underneath the body. I made a little drawing real quick. Let's go up and look at how this works with the drawing that I made. Okay, let's pretend for the moment this is the back view of my car, and you've got your rear axle that can, you know, as it goes over the bumps, it can move up and down and stuff like that. And this, we'll save our critique for how poor this drawing looks for another time, but you get the point, right? You got the car, you've got your axle, you got your tires, and as you go over bumps, again, your axle is going to move like this, and that's what we want it to do. However, when you go around a corner, particularly at a corner at any kind of speed, you're going to have a problem where the car is going to shift and the axle is going to move underneath it. What I've got a toy Mustang here that this is the only one that I have. I wanted to use this as part of my, you know, trying to describe what we're doing here, but I don't want to take it out of the package. So we're going to use this car right here. If you've got a car and you're going to go around a corner like that, what you've got is your car is going to lean because of the centrifugal force of the car wanting to go straight as you turn, right? It's going to want to lean and kind of lean into the corner, and I'm exaggerating, but it's going to lean as you go around the corner. Well, if we do that here, what we've got, again, I'm going to exaggerate it to show my point. The car is going to lean as you go around the corner, and it's going to want to continue to follow the path that it was on, and so it's going to start to move out this way a little bit. And because you've got some compliance in the bushings on the leafs of these cars, this axle can move a little bit side to side. You know, it moves up and down as we want to with the suspension, but because of those rubber bushings, you're going to have a little bit of movement, lateral movement of the axle. So as the car leans over as you go around a corner, it's going to want to lean and it's going to want to continue. I mean, again, I'm exaggerating, but it's going to want to go this direction. It's just going straight instead of around the corner, but the axle is going to stay where it is because it's kind of stuck to the road because of the tires. So now we've got a scenario where, again, it's exaggerated here, but work with me. The outside of this tire could be rubbing on the inside of the fender layer, the quarter panel lip, and the inside of this tire could be rubbing inside the tub of the car. Now, what we don't want that to happen is because as you start to go back, straighten back up the car, as you're going around the corner and as you're starting to straighten back out, what you could have is this axle could kind of snap backwards, back the other direction, and it could cause the car to fishtail a little bit, and that's not what we want. We don't want the car to get loose in the back end like that. So as you're coming around the corner, the car's going to straighten back up, and you could have the axle kind of just snap back that way as the load comes off of this outside tire. Because there's that load on the bushings and the axle was sliding this way, it could slide back that way. It can cause uncontrollable and undesirable and unpredicted motion of the rear end. We don't want that to happen. So what are our options? What can we do? Well, we can add something like a Panhard bar. Again, this is what I got, this little paper cutout here. So if we were to attach one end to the axle and the other end to the car. Now you wouldn't want it tilted like this. I'm just doing that just again for illustration here. If you want it like that, and as you go around the corner, as the car starts to tilt, because of the centrifugal force and the car wanting to kind of go that way as you bring the car that way, the axle cannot move underneath the car because it's fixed by a point here and the point there. And this bar is not allowing this axle to move side to side underneath the car. Now you may be asking yourself, why do we want a long bar here instead of something short? You know, this bar is essentially the width from the leaf spring to the leaf spring, but why would you want to do that and not maybe something that was half the distance? And the reason why is it has to do with, actually with geometry, right? So if you had this, let's just say this is the long bar, and you've got it fixed here on the axle and fixed underneath the chassis like it is on my car. So as the axle goes up and down, this can move like this. If the chassis, or if the axle were to move up 2 inches up inside the car, let's say this thing really compressed, I hit a hard bump or whatever it was, moving 2 inches is only going to change this angle by just a little amount. And because this bar, if we extreme, you know, if we go to extreme here, if we go like that, the distance from here to here gets shorter, right? From here to here, and this could make the axle actually move a lot the more this goes up and down, right? It can change that position of this axle because it's fixed on here. And as this angle changes, it moves the axle with it because it's fixed on the axle here, and this is fixed on the car, so this changes. So that's why we want a long bar. If we had a short bar and we did the same at 2 inches, the angle's a lot more, and so this axle can move side to side a lot more by having this change in angle here. So that's why you have a large bar versus a short bar, because as this thing moves up and down 2 inches, I'm just using 2 inches, it doesn't really change the position of this axle very much. It might move it over a couple millimeters, you know, either way as this thing moves up and down. But again, the same 2 inches here changes it by a lot, and it can move this axle. So that's why you want a large bar versus a short bar. This is the advantage of a Panhard bar, or again, a Watts link, or even a 4-link. They all do the same thing. Again, they're designed to keep this axle centered. So as the car starts to tilt a little bit, this axle isn't moving, and so not only you're not getting any rubbing, you're not getting any of that snap reaction of the rear axle as the car starts to go back to center as you come out of the corner. This is why a Panhard bar is something that is why I like it on my car. I like to drive my car a little harder, take the corners a little harder than I probably should, and I can predict what the car is going to do because that axle is not moving. An added benefit of these Panhard bars is it's kind of, and this is a loose term, but it kind of acts like a sway bar. My background is in more modern cars before I started to dip into the classic car stuff. And I had, you know, the axles, you didn't have axles. We had, you know, rear differential or nothing. And, you know, because there was a front wheel drive or whatever, but you didn't have this kind of setup where this axle could be moving because of the way that the suspension was set up on the car. So you'd have sway bars, and that would protect, you know, that would resist the tilting of the car as you go around the corners. Well, this Panhard bar kind of does the same thing. It does not that it won't allow the car to tilt, but it just kind of resists just a little bit. I know this because my last Mustang, I put a sway bar on it instead of a Panhard bar, and while it did reduce the body roll, it didn't fix the problem of the axle sliding back and forth underneath the car. That sway bar didn't do any of that. And that's what I was trying to reduce, was this movement of this. So on this car, the one that I have now, I've put this Panhard bar, and I have not put a sway bar on there, and I'm not having any problem. This car, because it's so predictable, you can actually steer with the throttle a little bit. I can give a little bit of gas, I can get the back end to brake loose a little bit, and I can get the back end of the car to kind of slide out as I want, but it's not having the problem of the axle sliding back and forth. So again, this is the advantage of a Panhard bar, or again, a Watts link or a 4-link, by keeping this axle centered. Now that you know more about this bar and what it's doing, let's take a look at its mount points. Again, this fixture right here is welded up to the frame, and this bar right here bolts onto this setup here and goes all the way over into this other fixture up here that's welded to the frame. And again, the purpose of this bar right here is just to give strength to this piece. If I didn't have this bar here and I had this Panhard bar attached to it, it could just bend this bracket because of where it's welded up top. It's, you know, you got this torque on this arm here, and you can just bend it that way as the car moves. This bar right here keeps that from happening. And because it's welded up here in this corner, and bolted there and there. This is supporting this bar. Then we've got the actual bar that's connected to the spring perch here, and this allows this rod end or heim joint allows the suspension to go up and down, which is what we want, but it won't allow this axle to move side to side. And that's the reason why I have this on here. Keep this axle centered, make this car predictable, and get it to drive like I want. All right, guys, now you know more about a Panhard bar and why you need one on your car. This, again, to date, this is still my favorite upgrade on my car, and I would do it again if I had another Mustang to work on or another classic car that doesn't have something like this. It'd be one of the first things I would do. This is something that it changes the way the car drives, and you can tell immediately. You don't have to worry about, it's the sum of the parts. You don't have to worry about upgrading something else to make this bar do its job. It does what it needs to do right out of the gate, and I strongly recommend one of these bars for your car. All right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, and if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out, and we'll see you in the next one.